Hey, boring, what's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite movies. And, yeah, I'm gonna do a review on Mangrove, which is the first movie off of the five-parted Small Axe Pantheology, written and directed by Steve McQueen. And Steve McQueen is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated directors of our generation. He has made a lot of amazing movies. Of course, there's Hunger and there is Shame, a movie that I watched, and it is about sex addiction, and it is actually an incredibly tragic and sad movie. And then he went on and directed 12 Years a Slave, which became one of my favorite movies of the 2010s because it is incredibly well paced, amazing performances, very interesting shots. There are tons of very memorable scenes in the movie as well. And yeah, it is definitely one of the better, if not one of the best, movies about the slavery side of things in American history. So now we have Mangrove, which is actually about African British, or more like Black British history, anyways. And yeah, given that I've seen a few movies about African American history, you know what? Of course, I am curious about the Brits as well. So now we have a movie about black people in the UK in the 1960s, Mangrove. And yeah, a lot of the black people, I'd say maybe 40% of the black people in the UK, probably, I did a little research, they aren't exactly from Africa or descended from Africa, but are actually from the West Indies, aka the Caribbeans, countries like Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica. But anyways, back to the story. We have a Mangrove restaurant opened and owned by Frank Critchlow, a man who is really dedicated to his business and believes that he serves the people and serves the community with this restaurant, that is the Mangrove. But of course, given that this community that he's serving and the neighborhood in general are mostly populated by black people, this has become a bit of a hot spot for black people to meet up, chat, drink, eat, and gamble as well. And other, white people can join in as well. But for some reason, the cops in that neighborhood, Notting Hill, that is, keep on raiding the restaurant. They keep on one raid after another raid after another raid after another, smashing all the glass, arresting all the people for no reason whatsoever, and just destroying everything for no reason whatsoever. Of course, they would find all these little excuses like, you're serving alcohol late at night? We're gonna raid you. Wait, are you taking drugs? We're gonna raid you, even though we don't know. And so there are these raids, and it has stirred a bit of a controversy, especially among people like Darkest Howe, who is a person who sort of speaks up about the discrimination and the prejudice against the blacks, and also Althea Jones LaQuant, who is also a civil rights activist. So Darkest Howe, Althea, Darkest Howe's wife Barbara, and Frank Critchlow and a few others decided, you know what? Let's speak up. Let's speak up against police racism and discrimination in the country in general. Let's speak up. And Frank Critchlow did it under a huge risk that he's going to lose the restaurant. He's going to lose his business, but he still decided to do the right thing. And so we have the movie. The first half is pretty much police racism, again and again and again and again and again. And then a protest, and then the second half of the movie is one really long courtroom drama. First of all, as expected, the directing in this movie is fantastic. I thought, even though Steve McQueen isn't like the most idiosyncratic director of all times, his cinematography style, his lighting, his editing is still more tasteful and artistic than the general public, in my opinion. Once in a while, even if the scene is more slow-paced and boring, we are still treated with these interesting visuals and also interesting choices in music. Yes, let's talk about the music. There's a lot of Caribbean jingles and jams in the soundtrack, but also for some reason at the same time we get all these drony, like really drony and serious sounding tracks that are not like dramatic or melodic or anything, but just drony and noisy, and it's kind of an interesting touch, and I actually like it. But yeah, the real meat of this movie is the plot, of course, and the protest scene halfway through the movie is genuinely one of the best protest scenes I've seen in a long time, in my opinion. I hate doing this, but in 2020, another movie was released called The Trial of the Chicago 7. I saw it. It is written and directed by Aaron Sorkin, and similarly, The Trial of the Chicago 7 is also a courtroom drama movie with a few protest scenes. And I don't know why. I'm not saying that The Trial of the Chicago 7 is terrible. I'm just saying that the way Mangrove presented it is so much more compelling and so much more emotional than The Trial of the Chicago 7. Again, the protest scene, it started off really peacefully and nice, and then the cops showed up and tensions began to rise, the music began to swell, these banging noises and the soundtrack made it way more intense than I thought it would be, and it's a fantastic sequence overall. And the courtroom scenes in Mangrove is way smarter and way more clever than those in The Trial of the Chicago 7, where the defendants, actually, two of them, Altea and Darkus, they represented themselves, and they're actually really good. Like, they put in the work. You know, they really did a lot of research on witnesses so that they can cross-examine them, and those scenes are brilliant. They are brilliant. The lawyer representing the defendants is amazing as well. He's just a total badass. And of course we have the judge, who is of course an asshole, but we can almost see the judge go through a bit of a change. Like at the very beginning he's just 100% racist asshole, and at the end he's like, maybe the defendants were right. Maybe. And also seeing them try to convince the jury, you know, that they're innocent and that the police is obviously racist. This process is so much more interesting with better edits. Of course, similar to The Trial of the Chicago 7, there is a trial montage, because you know these trials, they go on for like a lot of time, and we also got a montage. This one is a little bit more fadey, more superimpositions and all that, and yeah, pretty interesting, and it has a really satisfying ending as well. Yeah, I'm not gonna add much. It is a really good movie, really well paced as well, and great performances left and right. I am truly enjoying this one. I am giving Steve McQueen's Small Axe Mangrove a strong 8 out of 10. Definitely one of the better movies of 2020. So, have you watched Mangrove? 1 to 10, from 1 to 10, how much did you rate it? Like it, subscribe. If you want more, thanks for watching. There's someone in my apartment right now, so I have to keep it down. But, yeah, next movie I'm going to review, Dario Argento Suspiria.